Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome to Predict the Week on November 18th, 2024. How are you doing, Inbal? How are you doing, viewers? If you are in the chat already, please let us know how you're doing. But Inbal, how are you?
I'm doing great considering. Um, I'm, I'm very, very excited to be here. As you know, I've been up all night covering the launch of the new series of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of here in the UK, over in Australia. So I've been writing commentary for the papers about the star signs of the people there, how they're going to be getting on, about the body language. So I'm here on on half an hour sleep. I'm not even going to hide it, because if I say something really, really weird, that's probably what it does. So I've got something to pin it on. How are
Yeah.
you?
I think just want to pick up on what you said. First of all, you're like, I'm not going to hide it. And I really think that when we're working in this field, in this industry, it's really important to be honest and authentic and say, I'm busy. I've had half an hour's sleep. Um, I'm really, really, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm excited to be here too. Bit of a funny morning.
Yeah.
I was telling you privately beforehand, bit of a funny morning. But yeah, I'm really all right. It's been a kind of, as we sort of predicted last week, it's been a week about planning and planting seeds to go in motion later on, and I've had a nice little bit of downtime, so I've been watching lots of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and things like that, which is very therapeutic for me while I'm doing all the planning. So how's your week been overall, if you can remember much of it? Because I know when one is tired, it's like the brain is all fuzzy.
True, but we already have some messages that I have to share with you, because Lorna Nicole is already saying anything weird will totally be blamed on Tor.
I'll take the
Ah,
blame, don't
can you
worry.
believe it? She
I
also
can.
she also says working from home but listening in the background. Remember this week. So let us know how you are. Yeah, I've had a fabulous week. So I've had a very strange work week again, where I've been doing a lot of all the stuff that's less of my readings. So I've been
Yeah.
doing my readings as usual. I've had a lovely reading at midnight on Friday with a
Mhm.
lady in Texas. Because of the time difference, it makes it
Mm.
kind of easier. And I've had lots of mini readings and that. But around the readings, I've been hard at work planning our upcoming wealth oil. So me and my friend Amanda, we have a little brand in Bell's Apothecary, and we have a wealth oil which we finished creating. We're literally just sort of waiting on the labels now to go on the bottles. And at the same time, on the stairs right now are the final 2 bottles of the first batch of our love oil, both going to their forever home. So we're just waiting for the postman to come and collect both of them. One is going to South London and one is going to California. So all of that has been going on. I've been communicating with the papers really a lot. There's been such a
Mhm.
lot of interest in this season of I'm a Celebrity, which we're going to be looking at because their astrology is really interesting. So I've had a really fascinating week, and you know what? I will forever take a fascinating week over an ordinary week, and I'll put
Mm.
it even further. I'll take a fascinating anything over an ordinary anything at all. How was your week, Tor?
Yeah, I prefer everything to be a little bit quirky, a little bit skew with, a little bit left field, a little bit interesting. Yeah, as I say, for me, it was a lot about sort of planning, putting things in motion. I've had a few like left field offers coming through in the inbox that I've sort of left and I've thought, is this genuine? Is this a real thing? Because they just came completely out of nowhere. One of them is to promote a Star Trek game. So stuff like that, completely out of nowhere.
But not a game you're in, because obviously you're in a lot of games.
I'm in a lot of games as a voice actor, but no, it's not one that I'm in. It's not one that I've even had anything to do with. So I'm a bit like, that's interesting. So that's, something to think about and look at. And there was a few things like that. Lots of lovely readings, of course. Lots of lovely regulars this week coming back after, you know, had a reading a few weeks ago, and now they've sort of that's, come to pass, and they've, come for the next part, which is always very exciting. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's always so lovely uh, to hold people's hand in a sense through the journey. They'll ask the initial question, you'll give them, what you get, the predictions and the advice and the guidance, and then they follow it or not sometimes. And then seeing where they go and where they end up, whether it's getting a job, progressing with a relationship. And I think it's just really, really beautiful to kind of be with somebody through that process. Has there been any running themes with your readings this week in Baal? Because for me, it's a lot of people asking about if they're going to be going on specific trips. So people are already thinking about travel, not just for the holidays, as there's been quite a few questions about traveling with the holidays. Thanksgiving is coming up in the States very, very soon. Christmas is obviously coming up, Hanukkah. So a lot of people travel times, but people are, looking about traveling all the way next year, all the way next summer, all the way next Samhain, Halloween, October time. So that's kind of been the big theme this week, which I thought was interesting. I don't get to do travel readings very often. Do you have any themes?
That really is an interesting theme, because my theme is not entirely different to that, but a little bit more like what Lorna Nicole is saying. So she sent us a message to say, I need a stop procrastinating oil, which, to be honest, Lorna, that could well be our next one. So the wealth oil is great for anything to do with work. Basically, it's an oil of mint and basil, and it's meant to give you that kind of get up and go to motivate you to do things. But we're thinking, what will be the next one? It's kind of in between cleansing and purification, like a blessing oil, or between a kind of oomph oil that sort of gives you the courage to to move things forward. So a lot of the readings have been more along that kind of line, sort of saying you got to do the thing, you got to do the thing. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, you've got to push forward, you've got to do something to push forward. So it's been a little bit more that kind of way. And I think it's not entirely unlike the travel stuff,
Mm.
because the travel stuff is still something that you similarly need to kind of schedule, book, find the room in your diary, and travel. Just like change, travel sounds like something that is like impossible. Where am I going to fit it in? How can I afford it? How does it work into the greater into the greater scheme? But once you do it, it's done, and you don't regret doing it. So there
Mhm.
is something that where it links in the theme of like a breakthrough, of actually breaking through.
Yeah, and taking the steps to make sure it happens, having the safety net there, for change, for travel, I think is
Yeah.
very, very similar. And sort of making sure people around you know what's going on too, because you don't want to just, fly off and not, not let anybody know. You don't want to make a huge change necessarily. Well, you might sometimes not want people to know in both instances, but but the planning and the stages are very, very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really interesting. And um, we obviously sort of operate as, as people, as individuals, and we obviously have our work. But I think there's also kind of an interesting gathering, like a parallel between this time of year where you go to the shops and the decorations are already up,
Hmm.
and between that feeling that the year is finished. And I think the world is kind of divided to two types of people. The people that think, well, the year is finished, so I've got to take my foot off the gas and just sort of get into, holiday mode and get into the mince pies and start chilling because the year is finished. And
Yeah.
then there's people, my people, that kind of go, let's see what else we can squeeze because we're not going to get 2024 again. Let's see what
No.
else we can squeeze in there. Let's see what else 2024 will bring. And waking up every morning going, let's make it a really unbelievable year. These people are in real denial that 2025 will ever appear, that it will ever arrive. If it inevitably it does to both groups of people. But yeah, which camp are you in?
I'm I'm already got stuff planned in motion for the rest of the year, still seeing what else I can fit in. The stuff loosely already planned for next year. Unfortunately, but I can mention one thing. There's a video game that I recorded for last year. See, I don't think people realize this when you record for a video game, it can take years before it,
Yeah.
before anything happens. So I recorded for this game last year, did a few additional recordings this year, and it's due to come out on, I think, January 2025. So that will be like
Oh,
the first lovely thing for 2025. It's called Capybara Lost Dream. You can wish list it and everything already. Um, yeah, so already squeezing things in, thinking ahead to seeing, what I can do, what I can audition for, all the things. Yes, I'm definitely in the 2025 is a long way away feeling camp, and trying to do as much as possible.
yeah, amazing. Just a little shout out to anybody watching us. You're very welcome to get involved, to send us some messages. We'd love to hear from you. Where are you? What time is it where you are? And if you're used to listening to us on any of the podcasting platforms, you should know that we also go out live with our faces and everything on the Bigfoot Outlaw YouTube channel regularly. Catch up with us. So we've got some predictions for the week ahead, have we not? Because we are all about predict the week.
We do,
Um,
but before we forget, if you do
ooh,
have, if you would like, um, a reading, a message that's
oh
just for
yes.
you. The last 15 minutes of the show are dedicated to answering questions that have come in. So if you'd like a card, if you've got something very, very specific that you want to ask, we're going to be doing that for the last 15 minutes of the show. So in about half an hour's time, that's when we will be answering those questions that come in. Um, the more the merrier of those. So if you're here live, send them in. But yes, we
Fantastic. And you
we
can send
have.
them out. You can send them in right
Go on.
now, and I'll just save them on the side for you. And when we get to the part where we do the readings, I'll just pull them out. So you can send them whenever you want.
That's really
Okay.
good to know because some people don't, they think that they have to wait, don't they? So yeah,
Yeah,
right now,
you don't
pop,
have to
pop
wait
them
at
in.
all. And the thing is, you don't even have to wait for your answer. This goes on YouTube. It stays there forever. In what our puny human minds can perceive of as forever. YouTube stays there forever, so you can come back tomorrow and listen to your answer. There is zero commitment required on your part. So send us the question. I I think in wherever you're linked, the question might come in, but I don't know for 100% sure. I know for sure that the Bigfoot Outlaw messages arrive here, right here on my screen. And the others, I think, might kind of wait. I think a cup of coffee materialized behind my laptop. Wait.
Ooh, lovely. The coffee fairies have arrived. Nice.
Yes, like this.
And speaking of fairies, we do have
Ah,
some.
beautiful
We do have.
segue. I appreciate it.
We have collective messages, general collective messages for anyone who's listening live, for anyone who's watching live, but also you might stumble upon this in 3 years' time and it might seem relevant. That's okay. None of it might seem relevant. That's also okay. But the
That's the
kind of
cool.
point is that we predict the week ahead. So I turned some fairy cards for this week, and the first one that we have is birthday. Birthday. And the message with this card, that doesn't look very much like a fairy card, does it? But it's a fairy card.
It's there and it looks like a birthday card. It's
It,
cute.
it does. It's cute. It's cute. I love it. And so the message with this one that they came through with was that anyone who has a birthday coming up, and it might not just be this, it could be in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be experiencing some truths. And these truths feel like mostly to do with people around you. And I'm not saying, okay, that the person who buys you the best presents, the person who gives you the most, gift cards is like your bestie best friend. Sometimes it's often the opposite. Be very, very careful of people trying to buy your affection. But there's going to be stuff for those of us with a birthday in the next couple of weeks, me included, where we're going to be really seeing the true intentions of certain people. This could be people really showing their hearts, or it could be people making your birthday all about them, trying to buy your affection, dragging you around what they want to do. Be very wary of people dragging you to places that they want to do, that they want to go to on your birthday. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of truths coming up around people around us. And we also have connect with nature. And this is a bit of an odd card to get at this time of year, this particular week, I feel, because we're kind of, at least in the UK and I guess like the whole northern part of the world, we're kind of in that week or a couple of weeks where the weather is really beginning to change. Autumn is on its last legs, and there's frost, and there's all of that. But that's actually why it's a really good time to not just slump back in the sofa, to not just slump back in the chair, but actually continue to sit in your garden, continue to go for little walks, continue to get fresh air, because energetically it can be so easy to slip into the kind of, I don't want to say darker part of the energy, but I'm not really sure how else to word it that's a bit friendlier. So it can be
Shadowy.
really shadowy. There we go. It can be really easy to slip into that shadowy part of the energy. So keep things moving, keep things bright, keep connecting with nature, even though nature might not look as pretty in the autumn wintry months. You can still connect, you can still talk to nature, you can still feel nature, you can still connect with the fae folk if that's your thing. All of that, all of that. And I also have the angel number for this week is 7777. So 4 7s, seven
Love
seven
it.
7 7. Um, have you been seeing sevens this week? Has anybody been seeing sevens leading up to the show, or maybe come back and let us know next week if you've been seeing sevens? Because it doesn't need to be all four in one go. That's going to be a bit unusual, but maybe you're looking through your contacts, or maybe you've got a few new business contacts and they've got like sevens in their business emails or their phone numbers. All those little sevens that you maybe have been seeing or will be seeing in the next week or so. It's just the angels just letting you know that this is for you. And I'm laughing because the only keyword that they would let me write down, and anybody who does psychic writing or psychic drawing will know, if you try and write down anything else and they don't want you to write it or draw it or whatever it might be, they literally won't let you. So the only keyword that they would let me write down associated with the 4 7s is reflection. And this isn't me trying to promote my album. Pinky promise is not me trying to promote my album. Is reflection, and it's self-reflection. Okay, what do we need to think about at the moment, but also what are we putting out into the world? Remember, like attracts like. So what we're putting out is reflecting back onto us. Have we maybe been in a bit of a bad mood lately? Have we been a bit grouchy with the cats? Anything like that? Have a little think to yourself, do I really want to be grouchy with the cats? I don't want the cats to dislike me. And that might be a silly example, but you get the idea. The message with this as well was need for change, and that's going to be different for different people. So this might be a really, really big change. We spoke a lot in the past couple of shows about people changing career, traveling, things like that. So it could be a big change like that, or it might just be go and get yourself a new winter coat or some new winter shoes. Maybe you've been wearing the same stuff year in, year out for the past few years. So it could be like a small thing, like a treat for yourself. Maybe you don't always treat yourself at winter because, it's cold and, what have you. It's time. It's time for a change. So I hope that resonates with all of you. And again, if it doesn't, that's okay. Just take what you feel is for you. Do you have a card or some astrology for us, Mal?
I actually have a crystal ball and some astrology, but I wanted to
Ooh.
touch about what you just said with the maybe winter coat and that, because I think that relates to your
Mm,
reflection as well.
it
That
does,
winter
yeah.
coat is how you reflect yourself on the outside. And I think in the winter, you really sort of only get one garment to
Mm,
reflect. If you're
yeah.
outside, that is your reflection. That's what you see when you sort of, stride past the shop window. So it connects to your message anyway. Lord Nicole says, I'm grumpy with workmates, but not my cat.
Mm.
And before that, just for full context, before that, she sent a message that said, working from home, but listening in the background, remembered this week. So
Ah,
Lorna is actually at work right now, grumping at the workmates. Oh,
thank
there
you
we go.
for being with us, Lorna.
Yeah, it's so much nicer to have you with us. And you say, "Ooh, brand new thick tights."
There you go.
Absolutely. There we go. Another lovely
Perfect for
winter
winter.
garment.
Perfect for
Beautiful.
winter.
So I pulled out the crystal ball, and I actually pulled out the crystal ball that I don't even use that much. As you know, I like cloudy balls.
You do.
So
Yeah.
I do. I like it when there's textures in them or a bit of color or some rutilation, if it's rutilated, what's the have in it, when it's got like marks and lines in it. But I have just the one crystal ball that's completely smooth, and I was really drawn to it this morning. um, and I just want to see live what's coming up as a message for everybody. So, your message this week, and even though I'll say the same words for everybody, each person takes it in a way that makes the most sense to them. Um, I'm seeing a huge, abundant, clear night sky, and it says, any star that you want to reach towards is the right star. Any direction that you want to take is the right direction. It says that at the moment, there's a lot of clarity. There's lots of clarity and a lot of um, kind of abundant information to where you want to go, not even where you need to go, where would feel the most natural for you, where would feel the most aligned for you. And when you can feel that you're going in the right direction, then all you need to do is take a tiny step towards it. A tiny step towards it is all I'm asking for. And so if you see that your future is in another part of the country or in another whole different continent, then all I want you to do is just sort of pop on and see what rental prices are like, for example. If you feel like the stars are pulling you more towards doing work in the caring professions or more towards doing work for yourself, then all I'm asking you is to look at a few applications or see whether the qualifications that you have right now are up to date One teeny tiny step in that direction is all I'm asking, because that will indicate to the universe that you're interested, that you're ready, and that you would like for, for whoever, angels, universe, beings, to do a little bit of more of the rest of the way for you. So that's my crystal ball message. That was cute.
That's
And
beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
oh, thank you so much. And with the astrology, we're coming up to Mercury retrograde later on this week. More on that, a lot more on that in the next segment. But first of all, for this week, we've got one huge change happening today, tomorrow, and that change is about the Pluto. Now, the planet Pluto, which was only discovered in like the 1930s and has since then been downgraded and graded and is not considered a planet anymore. But, for us in astrology, we accepted it and we're not letting it go. Pluto is the planet of transformation. And because it takes 20 years to get through each sign, then it is what we call a generational planet. Then it has influence over people who are born inside those whole 20 years, and it has influence globally. Now, Pluto has been in Capricorn for the past 22 years, something like that. And about 2.5 years ago, it started moving into Aquarius, bringing on at least one of the definitions of the age of Aquarius. One of the definitions, yeah, it's complicated. And so for the past 2.5 years, it's gone into Aquarius and then a little bit back to Capricorn, then a little into Aquarius and then a little bit back into Capricorn. If you've noticed that there are unbelievably complex things happening globally, that is why. That is exactly why. Now, today, tomorrow, Pluto is saying goodbye to Capricorn for the next 240 years. We're never going to see Capricorn again. And we're going to be with Pluto in Aquarius and staying with Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. Aquarius is a sign of social justice, ecology, climate change, activism. And so, I was telling Laura on Thursday, when we started sort of slipping into Pluto and Aquarius, I had really high hopes. I was so optimistic because I have my Mercury in Aquarius, I have my Venus in Aquarius, and I thought finally a little bit of social justice and activism, and boy, is that gone completely upside down. But I'm still holding on to a little bit of optimism, or quite a lot of optimism. And I'm thinking, well, maybe when it's not all mixed up with a Capricorn, maybe things will straighten out, because Capricorn, and this is not me sort of talking rubbish about Capricorn, it's just that the transition is difficult. But Pluto in Capricorn meant, because Capricorn is more business minded, interested in wealth, interested in social status, interested in brand names, then Pluto in Capricorn meant that global events were a lot more influenced by the wealthy, as if they've ever really belonged to the poor, but in a much more sort of obvious and a much more open way. People in the higher echelons have been influencing a lot more than what their, one vote per person should give them. And so the transition between the time of Capricorn and all the business into the time of Aquarius and all the justice has been a real clash. So I'm hoping that now that we are finally moving into Pluto and Aquarius, it will create a change, because the previous time, the previous 20 years that Pluto was in Aquarius, we had the French Revolution, not some French, but
Hmm.
like the actual French Revolution. We've had the USA becoming completely independent. We've had a lot of social change and a lot of freedoms. And I'm really hoping that we're going that way. Sorry, that was, that was a really, really big speech about something that is going to influence all of us for the next 20 years. It starts tonight, tomorrow, depending where in the world you are. So from tomorrow, hopefully, we're going to be looking a lot more at people in positions of power doing the right thing rather than people in positions of power ensuring that their bank accounts look astronomical. So, yeah, good
How
times.
exciting.
Thank
How
you.
exciting. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so, so much for explaining all that so, so well.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
beautiful. I didn't know that Pluto stayed in the, the signs for so, so long. I knew it was long. I didn't realize it was
Yeah,
that long.
it's far. So the
Mm,
generational planets, they're all the planets that were discovered um, in the 20th century. I was going to say this century, but it's not been this century for a really long time. Um, the generational planets are Pluto is in each planet for about 20 years. I think Uranus is for about 12 years, and I want to say Neptune is about 7 years, or if I got them sort of upside down. And so we've got like clumps of people. You know, when we look at
mm,
like Gen X, Gen Z, Gen
mm.
Alpha, that
Yeah.
falls very roughly. And when I say roughly, I mean very exactly and accurately. You know, but it's not a science. It's not a science. Of course, it's not a science. Um, People, it really used to be a science. Um, it falls very accurately along the lines of that Pluto change. And
Mm,
you can really sort of see the differences between each of those generations. And even more, I think there's the very specific personalities that are in betweenies, that are in between the
yeah.
generations that have, you know, kind of half in each, and they would be the people that were born while the planet was sort of doing its ducking and diving in between the two options. So, really interestingly, Lorna Nicole says that touched on her question. So, we're going to get to the question in about 10, 12 minutes. But I think that's really, really interesting because when you see astrology play out in real life, it's a lot harder to kind of stay on the fence about it, in
It
my
is. Yeah.
experience.
In my experience too. In my experience too. Now, Inbal, could you briefly, as brief as you can, explain what Mercury retrograde is just before we go into the main topic?
Absolutely. So, let me start by explaining how come I was talking about that Pluto, how come I was describing it as going in and out of a sign, because obviously all the planets go straight and they all go in, you know, in one direction. What's interesting is that when we visualize the planets going around, we visualize them on the flat, right? We visualize
Mm,
them as if they're going around on a screen, but they each go around at a different angle and they go around the sun, not around the earth. So from where we're standing on Earth, it appears as if a planet goes in and out and back again, like we explained with Pluto. For those periods, that Pluto was going from Aquarius into Capricorn, which is behind it, it was going retrograde. Now, with the faraway planets, the influence is, you know, kind of less less noticeable, less acute. With our nearer planets, for example, Mercury, um, you can really, really tell when the planet appears to be going backwards. So when you're sitting on Earth, Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun, so it goes around the sun at great speed. And at times, Earth will overtake it and Pluto will appear to be going backwards in the sky. I've heard people refer to it as an optical illusion. It's not an optical illusion. It actually goes backwards compared to us. It's an optical fact.
Yeah.
But astrologically, the influence would be that instead of that planet lifting you up and creating things for you, it dumps all over you and it makes you sorry you got out of bed in the morning. Mercury is the planet of communication, and so when Mercury goes retrograde, which happens between 3 and 4 times per year, each time for about 3 or 4 weeks, when Mercury goes retrograde, that's when we have things going wrong with our communication. So because in this culture, we're so attached to our communication devices. Look at this guy, look at that guy. It's all going on. Um, you know what? Even this guy will be influenced by communication. So this is when we've got emails going to the wrong person, parcels going to the wrong city, invoices not ending up where they're meant to end up, books getting put on a shelf. Oh, I didn't realize we put the Chucky over there. Books getting put on a shelf and turning up under the bed.
Mm.
And during this digital age, it's so much more noticeable because, for example, when the whole Meta network collapsed, it's a couple of years, but it's still such a good example. When the whole Meta network collapsed 1 October, it was during the Mercury retrograde. And for a few hours, nobody could use any of the Meta products. So I know that you and I chat a lot when the Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde turns up, because we'll be like, so what broke? Okay, nothing broke. And we'll get through a few days and start to feel sort of quite proud, like we hacked the system. Yeah, none of
Yeah.
my phones broke. I even managed to upgrade one. Laptop is still going strong. The TV seems to be, plugged in. And then out of the blue, a pile up of communication disasters will befall you or me, usually both, usually
Usually both.
everyone.
Usually both.
Yeah.
It's like a domino effect. During the last one, I'd ordered a PC. I thought, oh, if I order it before it kicks in, it'll be fine. But I'd ordered a new PC, and the original
It
PC,
has to arrive.
they
It
did
has to, you didn't order it from your living room to your bedroom. It
no.
has to
Well,
arrive.
th- this is the mistake I made. Um, it got stolen in transit, so they had to send another one, which meant that I was like 2 weeks, give or take, without PC, so couldn't really work much. Having to rely on Nintendo Switch, which if anybody has a Switch, you know how basic it is for all the entertainment, all the everything. Um, and I was very, very smugly saying to you, like the day before, oh yeah, everything's fine.
I hacked the system. The thing is coming. It's on its way.
But I had not hacked the system. So this takes us into our topic. How will this Mercury retrograde affect the contestants on the current series, the new series which has just launched last night, of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? I believe there's 10 contestants currently.
There are 10 contestants currently. Out of them, 4 whole people are in the star sign of Leo. Yeah, so we've got the list there. So Leos are um, Otti, who is a dancer, Alan, who is an actor, of course, GK Barry, who is a content creator, again, of course, and Melvin, who is a radio presenter. That is 4 whole Leos. So We made a joke just last time, didn't we? That when you've got two Leos, it might be one Leo too many. So with four Leos, there is every chance that the whole situation will be explosive. We have two Pisces, that's Danny Jones and Barry McGuigan, also Pisces. And we've got two Cancerians, which is Talisa from N-Dubs and Dean, who is also a radio presenter. And then just to sort of make it more exciting, we have Jane from the newspaper, who is a Taurus, and we have Colleen, who is a wag, and she is an Aries. So we only have 5 star signs to deal with, and the majority of them are the same star sign. This Mercury retrograde happens to be in Sagittarius. I'm just sort of making sure that it's in Sagittarius all the way through. Yes, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius the whole way through. Sagittarius is the sign of adventures and travel. And that means that all the people who are at the moment either are on either or adventures or on or traveling would would be affected. Lorna says, I know it's lying, but my mother is a Leo and is a fiery redhead. So I think of it as fire. Yes, no, it is fire. You're absolutely right. So the good news for the contestants is that, first of all, none of them are Sagittarians. People who are Sagittarius, as I would say some perhaps co-hosts that I could speak of,
Yeah.
will find it a struggle. There
Uh-oh.
are also no Geminis and no Virgos, which again is a blessing because Geminis and Virgo are governed by the planet Mercury, so um, they would still struggle more than others. So the primary influence on the contestants will be in communication, and that's something that will be felt. So that's something that will be noticed because they have to operate in teams. So when they go on challenges, they have to keep talking to each other. I want to say because it makes good telly, to sort of to hear people, but also because they can't really sort of solve some of the puzzles that they're given without communicating. Also, they have to be able to communicate because the way to get out of challenges is to say the magic sentence, I'm celebrity, get me out of here. And then you get like airlifted away from the scorpions and the snakes and the cockroaches and stuff. And the final thing is that because they operate as a camp of 10, they cook together, they have to sleep together, they have to be in charge of, cleaning their communal bathroom. Communication breakdowns when you need to run like a multi-person household like that is very, very challenging. Now, the fact that Sagittarius is there and Sagittarius is a sign of expansion and also of anything that has to do with kind of bridging different cultures, I think it would be possible that any of the contestants, I'm trying to see if there's anybody apart from Otti who is not the same nationality, not the same birth nationality as everybody. So Otti is South African, so she might feel excluded because of this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. And Talisa is from London, but she's also Greek, part Greek. So I wonder if that would sort of touch on her as well. So there could be some clashes in between nationalities. So I want to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But I'm the kind of person, I hate confrontation so much that I cringe in advance, um, from sort of thinking they would clash. For anyone taking notes, the Mercury retrograde is starting on the 25th. So it's this Friday. Is it this Friday? 25th, 25th. Looking at, how can it say Monday? Uh, yeah, it's in a whole week. Sorry. So yeah, starting on the 25th next Monday, um, and ending on the 15th of December, which I believe is when the series of I'm Celebrity is already over, is already done. So yeah, we've got lots of excitement ahead. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've never watched I'm Celebrity. The reason I watched it last night is because I was getting paid to watch it. I've never watched it, so I don't know if they bring like new contestants in or what the procedures are for people leaving or anything like that. I really have no concept of what they used to do in the past. But with the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, any attempts to do clever stuff and to sort of suddenly bring somebody local to, to teach them about how to escape snakes and so on, would be the kind of stuff that I would watch through my fingers, and I recommend you do too.
They do bring people in.
Do they?
Um, yes, I think they pretty much always at least bring somebody else in. Sometimes two. So sometimes two will come in at once, which during a Mercury retrograde is, you know. And the procedure for leaving is very similar to Big Brother. So people are essentially voted off.
All right. Yeah. So
Mm,
you just get told you're leaving, you take your whatever it is, they've got nothing there. What you
yeah, the
take with you,
rucksack.
take your nothing with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what have they got in the backpack? Is it just like, no, is it just a backpack?
It's a backpack. It has like like a water canister, like I think some safety stuff that we don't really see on screen, a couple of changes of like the vests that they have,
Right.
stuff like that. So stuff that you would keep for years after,
Yeah.
like little keepsakes with your name and stuff on.
All right. Is it like when you have like a school trip
Yeah, yeah,
and you,
it's exactly like a
your
school
little
trip. That's
souvenirs?
exactly what it's like.
I tell you, the one thing that I did notice yesterday when I was watching it is that I remember always feeling a little bit freaked out by people wearing numbers on their
Mm,
backs. I've
yeah,
always found it so post apocalyptic because it's like, it's Holocaust and it's I am not a number and it's, being serial numbers. I've always found it really, really creepy.
yeah.
1984, it's Orwell. It never sort of sat right with me because the voting has been by phone, right? But now, and I don't know how many years that's been the case, but the voting is on their app. So all they wear is their name. And
Oh, we've lost
something in
Inbal.
my
There she is.
soul healed when I saw it. Sorry, is it
Oh, we
new?
lost you for a second. You're back. You're fine.
Sorry, but yeah, something in my soul healed when I saw that all they wear now is their name and their surname. And now is not really a moment to talk about the patriarchal nature of surnames. I was just pleased not to see any numbers on them. Is it? Do you know? Is that from this year, or has it been a couple of years that that the app votes have changed the
No,
procedure with the numbers?
I think it's been like that for a couple of years. The last time I watched, I think, was 2 years ago. Sue Cleaver was in, who I know just a titchy bit from around Liverpool. Um, yeah, and I think she just had Sue on. So yeah,
Right.
I think it's been a couple of years. Yeah, at
Yeah.
least,
Okay.
probably
Cute,
longer.
cute, cute. But yeah, so really the good news for them is that none of them are Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo. For those of you watching and or listening who are Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, I have some have
Womp
some
womp.
disastrous news for you. Make sure you don't. But do you know what? Because I've got to do all my upgrades. I've got 3 phones to upgrade on Black Friday, and Black Friday is smack bang in the middle of the Mercury retrograde, and I don't want to miss my deals,
Mm,
but also, I don't want to order broken stuff that never arrives. So I'm just gonna have to take my chances.
you'll be fine. You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
you say that every time. Every time. Do you know what? I feel like a big part of our friendship is probably our most toxic trait, and it is our insane optimism.
Yeah,
Maybe it's time to grow up. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's
maybe
time to
not.
grow up and give up that, that far-reaching, bombastic optimism that we're both afflicted with.
No, I think it's important to be optimistic. I think I'm a little bit less optimistic than you.
It's possible, but yeah,
but
honestly,
but, but I think it's important.
there are actual angels, there are actual deities that are less optimistic than me.
Yeah.
The only person I know who's as optimistic as me, and even then, is my dad. So I'm guessing it's genetic.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank
That's
you.
sweet that you share that family optimism. I love that so much.
And from a Virgo as well, like my crazy optimism as a Pisces is at least kind of on brand.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
dad's optimism as a Virgo, that really sort of breaks with tradition.
It does. It does. That's really interesting. I'm thinking of all the Virgos I know. If they're optimistic, not one.
No,
Not one.
no, I don't know when he was born, but I'm suspecting that he might have um, Pisces rising or something like that,
Mm.
or maybe Libra rising like me. Um, right, so we're starting to creep towards the end of the show. Shall we jump on and do the question that we've got? Because it's such an interesting question. It came before we got onto all of our topics, but it is
Mm.
so on point. Look at it. Lorna Nicole says, my question, will the government, so I saw government and I was like, that is not getting to screen, but actually it's a very good question. My question, will the government ever bring back down the age of retirement? I feel robbed. I was 60 last year, so feel robbed of 7 years now. Smiles. So just to explain it to anyone outside of the UK or anyone that didn't get caught into this travesty, when Lorna will have started her working life, the age of retirement would have been 60 for ladies, 65 for men. And slowly, an extra year here, an extra couple of years there were added on so that the exact same generation kept getting caught in it. And so anybody 10 years older than Lorna got to retire, uh, 11 years ago, but anyone Lorna's age, instead of retiring, 10 years older, instead of retiring now, 10 years after those people, is going to retire 17 years later. So yeah, that's really interesting. And it's actually a topic that I wanted to make a little video on. And I'll tell you why. I've got a client I adore. She's actually my longest client. She's been with me 24 years, and actually now she works as a psychic. She's done my courses. She helps other people, but she still has readings for me. And I knew her from doing psychic fairs local to her. That's how long ago it was. So we first met in 2000. And one of her jobs. Have we got a hello from Grizzly? Good morning,
Good morning,
Grizz. How are
Grizzly.
you?
Ah.
And one of her jobs, one of her streams of income has always been renting rooms in her house. And she had the capacity to rent out more rooms, but legally she could only rent two. And
Mm.
I remember years ago, years ago, saying to her, I can see the laws changing because the rental income is going to go up, but it's not going to go up from there being like higher rentals. It's going to go up because you'll be able to rent more rooms. And she's said at the time, and it was going on for years, I don't see there being more rooms because legally I'm not allowed. And if the council come and do like an inspection, I'm going to be in trouble. Anyway, after Airbnb became a thing,
Mm.
it's entirely legal for her to rent all of it. I think she could go up from renting out 2 rooms to renting out 4 rooms. And it was something that I was thinking just this week to make a little video about, to explain to newer readings that if you sometimes see things in a reading that don't make sense because they're not in keeping with the world that you know right now, you've got to realize that when you deal with the future, when you deal with predictions, you're predicting them for the world that will be, not for the
Mm.
world that we're living in right now.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I had a reading similar to that just a couple of days ago. I can't remember all the ins and outs because it was sort of part of a bigger reading. And
yeah,
the client was saying, "Well, that doesn't make sense because of the legalities." I was like, "Well, I really have to stick with what I've got. I have to stick with what I've got, what I'm giving you. Um, I always stand by what I say, even if you
yeah,
come back and tell me it's wrong. I'll stand by it with an iron shield." Um, and yeah, and it's potentially something that could change in the very very near future. So yeah, that's really interesting.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, Woo Riders sent us a message that says, everyone have a great week. And remember, service to others before self is key for this new golden age. That's so beautiful. And if you want to watch back,
It
that
is
is
beautiful.
exactly what is happening astrologically. We've been banging on about it like nonstop for about 35 minutes. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. What a confirmation. What a gorgeous message. But yeah, same kind of story, different legalities. So I've got a gorgeous client in the USA. She's awaiting her naturalization, like a confirmation as a US citizen. You
Mm.
have never met a bigger patriot, loves America so much, just waiting to become American. She needs to come and see her son, who is in the UK, who cannot leave the UK for his own legal reasons. So in her readings, it's like, when will I be able to see him? Where will I be able to see him? Which is basically sort of predicting whose legal situation will become more flexible first.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I'm so sorry, Lauren and Nicole. We're banging on about this sort of very important thing for us as psychics. But yeah, let's jump forward and see. Will the government ever bring back down the age of retirement? I feel robbed. I was 60 last year, so feel robbed of 7 years now. Smiles.
The pendulum is saying no, but I also don't feel like you're going to be robbed. I feel like they're not going to bring the age down, but I feel like there's going to be more things in force to help people who still have to work, help people who can't retire as early as they would like. Okay. So not bringing down the age, but do you know what they're showing it to me like? Do you know when you go bowling and you've got like the bowling lanes and just like the normal ones where you just throw the ball and whatever happens happens. But then at the other end you've got like the kind of there's the bumpers, right?
Yeah,
There's the bumpers, so that if you're new to bowling or you're a child or whatever, just sort of learning, it's like they're going to put bumpers around the retirement so that it's not as bumpy of a ride as you come to the end of the working life, and it's not as like a shock to keep working. So there's a financial basis to that, there's a social basis to that that's going to be coming in. I want to say within the next 5 years though, so it's not right away. They're showing me 5 years in a big neon flash. um
exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm looking at tarot, and it says they're going to bring it down by zero. Now, why would the tarot pick such a weird way of saying it instead of saying no? Why saying they're bringing it down by zero? Because I feel like the entire retirement system is going to be overhauled, not exactly for the better, but at least it'll be a new system, because the old system is, at least it's going to be a new system. It will be a new structure. And for people who got, um, is shafted a swear? A swear? Is it?
No, shafted is fine.
It's not a swear, is it?
No, it's
For
not a swear.
people who got a bit shafted like you did, there's going to be financial balancing that will, first of all, make you feel a little bit less, um, hard done by for being sort of caught between two chairs like this. But also, I feel like there's going to be a real um, shift around how taxes are calculated from when you were working to what you were claimed. So, for from when you were working to what you can claim. So the entire thing is going to be overhauled to such a degree that you will still be working, I'm sorry, at 67, but it's going to be um, just a certain amount of hours that will count as if they are full time, but will actually be less than. There's going to be a lot more flexibility about being able to reduce and then to start claiming. So that fits because what Tor said, that it's another 5 years. So you'll then just have, 1 year left for retirement. But that 1 year that's left for retirement, you'll really be able to sort of step into who you are, do classes, do courses, develop yourself, enjoy everybody around you. Um, so, so yeah, unfortunately, the years themselves are not going to come down, but the entire packaging of it and the amount of work, the amount of labor that is required from you in order to qualify for your full pension, and the amount that actually sits there in your pocket, that's all going to change. So we'll be looking forward to that changing for you. Thank you so much, Lauren Nicole, for sending the message.
Thank you, Lorna. Just one little cheeky message from the fairies there. And anybody who works with Fey energy will know that they are just very, very cheeky and very, very blunt. Is it that you want to retire, Lorna, or is it that you're sick of the current job or sick of some of the people? And actually, she said earlier, didn't she, that she was a little bit
Oh, grumpy with the,
grouchy with,
yeah. Let me find
yeah.
that message. That's right.
So
Yeah.
is it that you actually want to retire? Is it that you want to stop working, or is it that you want to get away from this job? Because I feel like there's a bit of a difference there. So the fairies are saying, admit your true feelings to yourself. Have a little think about, is it actually the job that's the problem? Or is it the, you know, is it the retirement that's the problem, or is it the people at the job? They keep saying the people at the job in my ear very, very loudly.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
we've got the feedback coming on the screen immediately saying, oh, Tor, you are spot on. Actually, let me remove myself from the screen for a second, and you do a smile so that you can take a screenshot of that afterwards. I
Okay.
just remove myself. There we go. That's your screenshot for afters.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, she says, I love my actual job. It's people I'm not keen on. Yeah, so exactly like what the fairies were saying. Fabulous. So we're actually coming to the end of the show. That's flown by, hasn't it?
Absolutely flown by. It's I mean, it always whizzes by, but I feel like this was a particularly special one, don't you?
Yeah. This is us
Mm.
enjoying the last few days of Mercury doing good things. And actually, as Mercury slips into retrograde, you and I have got a hot date here on this screen again.
We do. Yep, we'll be back next week here on the Bigfoot Outlaw, which is the YouTube channel. Also, it will go out to a few other places. You will have saw there on the screen while I was typing the messages in that you can find me at Tor the Slayer on Twitch. Everywhere else, you can find me at Tor James Faulkner, torjamesfaulkner.com. And where can we find you, Inbal?
I'm the easiest person to find. You can find me on inbaal.com. I've got a new course at an absolute killer bargain price, teaching you how to do magical sigils. The entire course is a little over an hour, divided into lessons, and that is up at £11, 1 1. So you can find that on my Instagram, which is Inbal Psychic. Often imitated, never better, never improved. Thank you so much for spending this morning with us. Thank you so much for anybody watching a little bit later on. Thank you, Tor.
Thank you, Inbal. Always a pleasure.
Never a chore. Have an amazing week, everyone.
Mm.
Bye.